Brewing Network.
My name's Justin Crosley. I'm from the Brewing Network, and we are lucky enough to get to do this each and every year. It's a lot of fun for us. We get to interview some brewers and then go drink their beer for the rest of the time. We're going to pour you some beer right now. I would like to welcome to the stage first from Beavertown Brewing Company, Logan Plant, ladies and gentlemen. He's from England. Come on up, Logan. Let's get all these mics working. All right, so Logan, where are you from in England?
Good afternoon. I'm originally from the middle of England, but now in Tottenham, North London.
And that's where the brewery is too?
Yeah, the brewery's situated in Tottenham, yeah.
I'm sure everybody knows exactly where that is.
It's part of London, yeah. It's a big old city, but yeah, it's there.
I'm going to admit for all of us that Americans are shitty at geography. So everybody goes, oh, where are you from in England? And you tell them, and they go, oh, yeah, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, I mean, I've been in London for about 12 years now, so I call that home.
Okay.
That's where my family's based, and yeah, London's a big city, but it's full of beer. Good beer.
Which we like.
Yep.
Now, Logan has the very unfortunate position of being the only brewer on the panel today who doesn't have beer to give you. But to no fault of his own, the poor man was shafted by customs or something. He sent beer, and it didn't arrive, which kind of sucks.
To say I'm heartbroken and mortified would be mildly putting it. This is an event in such a wonderful space and with such amazing friends and brewers. I'm heartbroken that our beer didn't make it. We would have been just over the other side of there, and we had 4 amazing beers that I wish I could have shared.
Empty tent right there.
Yeah, we got an empty tent over there, and
yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, the English customs didn't like the fact that we were going to send beer, and then some of the beer also got stuck in Los Angeles. So yeah.
That's
I'm
okay.
Very happy to be here otherwise, but very sad that our beer isn't here, so thank you.
We're happy to have you anyway and to teach us about international craft beer anyway.
Much.
So, yes, thank you. All right, Agostino Arioli is here from Birrificio Italiano. Agostino is a rock star in his own right. I interviewed him here 2 years ago. He's the only person I've ever interviewed that signed somebody's breasts at the end of the interview. That's how popular he is. Yeah, they were female breasts too, by the way. They were just to be clear, they weren't mine. And so you're a very popular man, Agostino. Where's the brewery? Tell us where you're from.
The brewery is in Italy, north of Milano, and close to Como. Maybe you know Como Lake. It's a touristic area, quite nice.
Okay.
The brewery is not on the lake, but it's okay. It's in Como. Yeah.
Why don't we pour Agostino's beer right now, which I believe is a Pilsner that you brought for us? Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
It's not a Pilsner. It's called Tipo Pils.
Ah, okay. Sorry, Agostino. I got it.
So
Pils.
Tipo Pils means a kind of a Pils.
Okay. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting story because when I started brewing this beer, it was 1996. And I was quite, let's say, the target was to brew a beer like Jeverpils from Germany.
Okay.
But I was not really sure that I was able to brew such a good beer. So I called my beer Tipo Pils, a kind of a Pils.
I see where you're getting at. So you kind of sussed out. You were like, maybe it'll be good.
Maybe.
Okay.
Don't bother me.
All right.
It's a kind of a Pils.
Okay.
But it's interesting because I invented something. I took the dry hopping system from the English tradition.
Okay.
And I used it into the Pils.
Beautiful.
That was not used in Germany at that time.
So this is sounding to me a little bit like where maybe Matt Brynelson from Firestone got the idea for Pivo Pils to dry hop a Pilsner.
I think so.
He stole it from you, is what you're saying.
No, No.
He borrowed it?
No. It's inspirations.
Okay,
you know?
He was inspired by
I'm
it.
inspired by the Matthew beers and Beavertown beers and all the other good friends beers.
Okay.
I'm always inspired by the other
See,
people's
the
beers.
Italians say inspired. The Americans always say stolen.
No.
I like your word better. You're doing better. All right, let's get more people up on stage here. Next up, we've got Mark Rauschmann from Germany, from Braufaktum. Yeah. And we're going to have some beer from him as well. Mark, welcome to the stage. Thank you for being with us. Where's the brewery?
So we are based in Frankfurt.
In Frankfurt?
Frankfurt.
Okay, excellent. And do you distribute your beer outside of Germany?
Yeah, we started to sell the beer to Italy, very successful, and we already sell it to the States, San Francisco area, New York, Chicago, Florida.
So outside of this festival, people can find your beer in the U.S.?
Yes, we have a few nice pubs and restaurants in the United States where we sell the beer.
Perfect. And what beer did you bring to pour for us today?
So we will have the called Barrel 1. It's a stock ale with 11.5% ABV, so be careful. And it's aged in a German whiskey barrel. Okay.
This is not very German of you. I love it. This is craft beer.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Fantastic. Let's bring Giovanni Campari up to the stage from Birrificio Ducato, another Italian brewery. There we go. Giovanni, welcome.
Hi, guys.
Where is your brewery?
Our brewery is located in Parma. Parma is in the middle of northern Italy.
Okay. And do you distribute your beer outside of Italy normally?
Yes, we mainly distribute our beers in our country, but we export to 18 countries.
Okay. The U.S. included?
Yes, mainly in the U.S. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Fantastic. And finally, let's bring up Stephen Michel, also from Germany, from Marsbrau. Yes. Wearing half of the traditional lederhosen. He lost the other half. Stephen, will you please show us the state of your shirt? Look at this. Raise up your arm again. What has this man been doing all day? He's got rips and
no,
tears.
My friend told me I just got too big the other 2 days.
Yeah,
you know?
you've put on too much weight.
Too much American food and too much American beer.
You've been eating fast food and American beer since you got here. It's terrible of you.
I mean, for me, it's like I'm very stoked about being over here since the 3rd year. I bring out my boys. I'm happy to see all my friends over here. And I mean, Marsburg Brewing Company is a very, very old craft beer brewery. I'm the 4th generation of family business. So my great-grandfather bought it 1892. So I'm the oldest craft brewer over here, you know. I mean, it's like we do just German lagers, and we live with a purity law. So next year will be 500 years.
All right, let's talk about that real quick. What is the purity law? Because we don't have that here in the U.S. The Mormons do, but we don't in general.
I mean, when you know where beer is from, you know, like how they start to brew it. So there was this guy said, we need a law for clean beers.
Okay.
So they started 1516. And in Germany, I mean, for us, it's allowed since 2 years to do dry hopping. Before it wasn't allowed. It was just to do hot wort hopping, but not dry hopping. Now, for us, it's a little bit more that we can do experiments about different types of hops. I buy a lot of stuff from all over the world, kind of hops.
What happens if you do something to your beer that's outside of the law? Are you still allowed to call your beer beer in Germany?
No, it's not allowed.
You have to label it something different.
I did a ginger bock. And I called my office, like law office, to ask them, is it possible to sell it? And they said no, because you put bock on, you know? So I made from Mastodon the beer, so I called it just Mastodon Ginger Hat, you know? So, and then that allows me to sell the beer. It's not allowed to say beer on it.
Interesting,
you know?
Okay. Now, none of the other countries on the panel here have to deal with something like that. Of course, we all have to deal with labeling laws, but ingredients aren't one of them. In other words, you can put ginger in your beer in Italy or England and still call it beer, right? None of these laws exist. It's just the weird Germans.
It's just the Germans.
Yeah.
The Germans.
As in so many weird things that happen on Earth, it's just the Germans. All right, and he likes it. Good, Stephen, well done. All right, Logan, let's do this. Let's start talking about international craft beer. It's kind of a weird title for this panel because to me it's all just craft beer. And I know that you guys are just inspired by craft beer just like the Americans are, but I want to learn a little bit about what it's like in your region, in your country, how you got into it. What introduced you to craft beer, Logan?
Well, I think, beer in general in the UK is part of our genetics. It's something that's been there for millennia. It's something that was part of our makeup as a nation. And particularly where I'm from originally in the West Midlands, in the middle of the country, there's an amazing tradition there of breweries that are maybe 200-300 years old, family breweries, similar to Stefan's. And it's harking back to that and being part of that as a kid, being brought up, being dragged to many pubs, many beer gardens and drinking, watching my family drink lots of beer. And then I guess as like an 18-year-old starting to really get into it.
Did you homebrew?
My palate changed and I really started to appreciate malt and hops and bitterness. And I started to drink. And I became obsessed with some of these local breweries. And these guys, as I say, there were small breweries. Maybe they produce beer for enough of like 10 pubs, 10 bars nearby. So you knew you were going to get fresh beer. You knew it was going to be awesomely kept, really like tip top. And with me and my friends, you just became, it became part of your everyday thing. Going to the pub is an extension of a man's house. It's like his castle.
It's his living room.
It's like there's your kitchen, there's your front room, there's the pub.
Beautiful. So then do people distinguish craft beer from beer? Like we do, like in the US, we have beer and we have craft beer, and we know the difference. When you go to the pub, do people say, I'm going out to have craft beer?
No, I think we still classify it as beer. Whether or not it's great beer or whether or not it's just considered beer. What is craft beer? That's a hard one to kind of sum up, I guess, especially in the UK. We're looking to do that at the moment. We've started our own separate association called the United Craft Brewers. Very similar and leaning on the basis of the BA, the Brewers Association over here. Okay. It's how can we define what we do as a young, new, enthusiastic bunch of guys who brew in a certain way to achieve certain things, and we do it very particularly against the bigger, regional, mass-produced, commoditized outfits that are out there. And also those guys are trying to get into what we're doing. Bearing in mind our kind of craft beer market is maybe 5 years old, 6 years, 7 years old, maybe at the most. Okay. Now the big boys is trying to come in, work on us, lower the price, and basically, industrialize what we're doing.
We have the same thing happening here too, so that makes sense. As soon as you start doing something good, the big guys want to jump in there too.
Yeah.
Okay. Augustino, same kind of question. Craft beer in Italy, do people make a distinction between beer and craft beer in Italy?
Well, it's not that clear. I mean, everybody is talking about birra artigianale in Italy now. Okay. That means almost craft beers, but nobody knows exactly what does it mean.
Okay. So it's like artisan for us.
Even what is craft beer?
Yeah.
Not so easy to define. What is it?
Okay.
So in Italy we have this kind of a mess between the small breweries that started 20 years ago or so, brewing small batches of beer with selected raw materials, unpasteurized, unfiltered, without any addition of any kind of preservative.
Yeah, preservatives. That's right.
Yes, and now there are the big companies. They are brewing new beers, and they are calling themselves birrificio. That was typical of craft beer breweries.
So other breweries are not called birrificio.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's quite strange situation, but it's growing a lot. I mean, there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of beer breweries, and it's amazing. But there are some risks.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's clear what craft beer is.
Okay. Can you give us an example of your brewery's size, just so we know what it compares to? How many hectoliters or barrels?
Yeah, my brewery is in an Italian craft beer scale is big.
It's big for Italy.
but we only brew 5,000. This year we probably brew 6,000 hectoliters.
Okay.
So it's tiny.
Okay. Yeah.
In
In the
US
scheme, it's still small. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really small.
How about Beavertown, Logan? What's the size?
This year we'll probably do about 15,000 hectoliters, which
Yeah.
is again pretty.
Still small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, but craft beer's great. How long has the brewery been around?
The Birrificio Italiano was born in 1996.
96? Wow. Okay.
So it's almost 20 years.
Wow. 20 years. That's beautiful. Congratulations.
First brewery in Lombardy and probably the third in Italy, yeah.
That is very impressive.
I'm a pioneer.
You are a pioneer.
He's an old man.
Yeah. Or old. Yeah.
I'm joking.
All right. Mark from Braufaktum. How long has Braufaktum been around?
Well, we started 2010 in Germany.
2010. Okay. And what got you into craft beer? I mean, Germany has a rich beer history. So what's the difference between what you're doing and the rest?
I think Germany is very similar to UK and Belgium, though as we have such a big tradition, we focused all the decades on just the tradition and the history.
Okay.
And craft is, as you know, it's about tradition, but the same way about innovation. It's a love for beer, it's crazy for what you do, new styles, sharing ideas with your friends, taking up new styles from other countries. And as we had such a tradition, of course, craft means in the translation manufactured by hand. But it's not a question about size and tradition. Because if you look at the American craft breweries, take Stone, Sierra Nevada, Firestone, Walker, as they brew such good beer, the beer is not worse as they become bigger and bigger. They become bigger because the beer is such good. And in Germany, there's a big misunderstanding about tradition. The people think that craft means traditional brewing. Yeah. It's part of craft. And they think the breweries have to be small. But if the breweries keep small as nobody wants to have the beer, this doesn't mean craft. Yeah. Craft means philosophy about what you do, how you think, how you feel. It's about people, meeting your friends all over the world. Agostino, we sell his beer in Germany. We love to be with him and to share ideas. We sell the beer from Firestone Walker, from Mikkeller. We meet all of our friends all over the world, and we love to do things with them together. And in my opinion, this is craft. Craft is about the people, about the brewer, about loving beer.
So what is an example of a beer style that you guys make that's maybe not a German tradition?
Yeah, we do both. We have a Kölsch style, for example, which we dry hop, as we did that in Germany until the Second World War. Or we brew an original smoked wheat or a dark lager, where we have won for both beer silver medal at World Beer Cup the last 4 years.
Kolsch is getting popular in the U.S. too. Lots of breweries making Kolsches. Not all of them making it well, but there's lots of Kolsch coming out. It's a popular style. Easy drinking, light, right?
It is, and dry hopped with such nice hop flavor. It's an amazing, interesting style, you have all these very nice IPAs and double IPAs, but in the same way, sessionable beers and Kölsch is a very nice one.
It is
drinkable,
very nice.
But with a good flavor. It's a really nice style, yeah.
All right. As we're all opening our Nooners from Sierra Nevada, thank you. That's a good beer, by the way, and we needed some up here. Let's talk to Giovanni Campari from Birrificio Ducato. I hope I'm getting it close, Giovanni. Forgive me. So how long have you guys been around?
So we started our business in 2007, and I was pupil of Agostino. And
it was because of Agostino?
Yeah, no, well, I mean... we bought his former brew house, and I spent 5 months learning at Birrificio Italiano.
Okay. So if we don't like your beer, it's his fault, is what you're saying?
It's his fault.
It's his fault. Yeah, I'm sure your beer is fantastic. What did you bring us today?
Well, today I brought many sours because we're really into the sours, and the majority of the beer that we export to United States are mainly sours. So the beer that you're drinking, it's a very experimental one.
Okay.
It's not this one.
The one not in a can. Yeah. Tell us about it.
So no, today we brought a firkin cask of Koji Il Riso, which is a very experimental beer. It's a beer made with rice, wheat, and malt, Pilsner malt. And it's brewed using Koji, which is the sake malt. We use the black Koji during the mashing and white Koji during the fermentation, along with lager yeast. So simultaneous saccharification and fermentation took place during, the fermentation.
Yeah. Okay.
It was very weird and experimental beer, but it's very nice.
Yeah, you're doing a good job. It is very nice, by the way. Everybody enjoying it, I hope, in your glass? Yeah. And what other kind of beers do you do at the brewery? Mostly sour? Do you do any clean beer?
Yeah, of course. Our flagship is it is called Via Emilia. It's a Keller Pils. It is inspired like Pivo Pils. It was inspired by Extra Hop and Tipo Pils from Birrificio Italiano.
Okay.
And we have a very wide range of beers. I can tell maybe in Italy we are the brewery that we have a widest range of beer, 40 different beers, many sours, barrel aged, Belgian styles, American styles, some English styles, so many beers. And now in 1 month we will open our new facility, our new brewery, and we're gonna turn our first brewery into a sour brewery only.
Oh, nice. You're keeping the old one and starting a new one. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, Stefan, I need your help.
I'm here.
So I've been to Germany a few times. It's one of my favorite places to drink beer. I would like to know the difference between Helles and Pilsner. I need you to help me.
I mean, the point is right now in Germany it changes a lot. I mean, craft beers all around, like Berlin, everywhere. I mean, American brewers coming over to Europe present beer. And the styles in Germany changed a lot. I mean, right now it's very powerful, Keller beer and Helles. Helles came up more because Augustiner is huge in Germany. And the last couple of years it changed that we live with a sugar water generation. So it means Germans, they're not really into a lot of hops. Okay. They need drinkability. It's the same like I won at the World Beer Cup with my 2.8 silver medal. And this is kind of session beer in the summer. So, and this is kind of body what we bring in. I just do controlled raw materials.
Thanks, buddy.
And Pilsner is a very hoppy beer, actually, from the north.
Yeah.
And in the south, right now, they want to drink Helles blonde beer, also blonde.
Which is less hoppy than Pilsner?
It's less hoppy.
Okay.
And actually, I brew beer for the women, not for the guys.
Just, that's a rule?
No,
That's
the
a rule
point
at the brewery?
is, a woman tells you in a second after one sip she likes it or not.
Okay. Yeah.
And when you get the girls, you get the guys.
Good
the
point.
guys going for touchdown all the time. They don't care,
Yeah.
But a girl will leave it on the table and will order something else.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the type of business partners for me. They go grocery shopping and they buy what they like to eat and drink,
The rest of us have been screwing this up, Stefan.
I know.
I figured that out.
But I love being like, it's like in Germany, the people thought always about the guys. And when I do a beer festival in my brewery, I bring in 50% women. I have no crime. Because the guys has a lot of things to do.
Sure.
They have to drink and they have to meet the girls.
We're also learning about society, ladies and gentlemen, as this goes on. There is no crime because I bring in 50% women. Okay.
But I'm very stoked.
I'm taking notes.
I'm very stoked to having all. I mean, I know all the guys here, and.
So tell me this: Helles is now more popular in Germany than Pilsner. Is that what you're saying? Because it's more mild, less bitter.
I mean, people go into my bar. I open 9 in the morning, you know, and
As
they
you
don't want
would.
to drink just one beer. They drink 10.
At 9
Yeah.
in the morning. I want to go to your bar already.
It's cool though.
It's
you
a cool
know?
bar. Yeah, it's
I
cool.
love my
No-
place,
Everybody
you know.
rides bicycles. It's fine.
I mean, it's like, you know, it's like the brewery's like called 1602, but the even like the guys, they all been to Bamberg. You've been there, you know. Bamberg is the biggest beer capital in the world. We have 9 breweries in town, 30 Ks around. We have 80 breweries, and in all Franconia, never call a Franconian Bavarian, because the Bavarian, they're blue and white. And the Franconian, they're red and white. It's kind of Bloods and Grips, you know, over here, you know.
He knows his audience. It's all right. We're on the West Coast. How do I relate it to you? Oh, Bloods and Crips.
I
It's
lived
like the
in
Bloods
Santa
and Crips.
Barbara. SP is my hometown, you know.
All right, Logan. We're back to you now. I want to learn more about beer in England and craft beer in England. If I go to the community pub, and I know there's pubs in every community, right? Am I finding craft beer or just large manufactured breweries in England?
No, I think so. If we like turn the clock back, maybe we started our brewery 3 years ago. If you go back maybe a year and a half before that, there was maybe 3 breweries in London. 3 in London, which has a population of 10 million people. Now there's 90 breweries. So forward that like 4.5 years, and you've got 90 breweries. Many of those very small, up to decent size. So now every bar, every pub, every restaurant that opens wants a great serving of a great local beer. Whether that's London or whether that's coming in from Yorkshire or Manchester or wherever it may be. So now I think in the UK we have 1,400 breweries to a population of 60 million people. So I think it's about the most per capita.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as I said before, it's a massive tradition in the UK, and the movement is being driven by, I think, a new demographic of kind of people who want to go out and spend their hard-earned cash on having a great time, on being stimulated, on having choice, on having taste, and investing in something that is this. This typifies exactly what craft beer is. You wouldn't see this many people having this much fun drinking Budweiser.
Right.
Or
frankly, even sitting around to listen to us talk
No,
about
or
it too.
talk
It's a
about it.
whole
So,
other.
This is it. It's about culture. It's about community. It's about lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's about your choice. It's about your life, and it's about your beer. And you invest in that, and we're there, and to be part of that is amazing. So London is very much part of that. It's the kind of epicenter of everything that's going on in the UK, and I'm very, very proud to be part of it.
As you should be. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. All right, Agostino, kind of the same question to you. Are you guys going to grow? Is craft beer more important in Italy than it ever has been, or do people still...
Well, yeah, craft beer in Italy is growing very fast.
Yeah.
As I said, 20 years ago, we were 3 microbreweries.
And now?
Now there are 850 or so.
Wow. And is it on tap at most of the local, bars and pubs, or do you have to still go find it?
It's getting more and more popular, and you can find it almost all over.
Okay.
Especially in some area. If you go to Rome, Rome is crazy. You can find craft beer everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere. At the
They also
bar,
drive crazy.
and- yeah. It's amazing. It's very nice. Of course, this means that everybody's asking for craft beer.
Yeah.
And again, not everybody knows what craft beer is, but
Is
it's just cool, So they ask for it, and this is a kind of a risk. It's an opportunity, but it's a risk at the same time.
Okay.
Because people are not really able to distinguish what is craft beer,
Or big beer.
pleasant beer, or
Okay.
just. So.
You have a tough job then. You have more education to do for folks to understand.
Education is very important, but the quality is even more important.
Okay. A question I have about Italian craft beer too is it mostly on draft or in bottles? Is there a difference? Because I haven't been to many places in Italy. I can answer the question about Germany and England. I know it's a lot of draft beer. What about Italy? Mostly bottles?
I can tell. Now there's a huge demand for kegs in Italy.
Okay.
There are a lot of independent pubs. They call themselves indie pubs because they don't. They own the draft line. So, and there's a huge demand for kegs.
So if it's not an indie pub, then they pour whoever owns the draft lines.
If it's not an indie pub, it means that because in Italy it's not like in the United States. In the US, you have distributors that only few distributors own the license to distribute in the state.
Yeah.
Italy, like Spain, like other countries, are the countries of overlappings.
Okay.
So it's very hard to control the distributions because, for instance, a distributor for some region can distribute elsewhere, everywhere. So it's very difficult to keep under control this stuff. But if you're not an indie pub, it means that your distributor owns the draft line, and you are obliged to buy from him.
Okay, which is how it used to be pre-prohibition in the U.S. as well.
But you have to deal with them, you know.
Yeah, you still have to deal with. Okay. I wanted to discuss this a little bit more. I just want to let you know we have a microphone right here. If you have any questions for our panel, come on up and line up right there next to the man raising his hand, and you can ask questions yourself. Is this the same in Germany, that big breweries can own tap lines and own bars and keep smaller brewers out?
They do not own tap lines or restaurants. The most restaurants have a contract with the brewer, so they pay for the restaurant. If they have a new restaurant, to get a lot of money from the brewers. Yeah, okay. And then you have to sell the beer from these breweries.
Yeah, okay. How about England?
It's exactly the same. You get a lot of the big boys coming in and offering the bar £20,000 to take the taps.
Yeah.
We were in a situation recently, very small brewery going into Manchester, great bar, up and coming, great little food menu. They wanted us to come in and use our artwork and stuff and put our beers on the bar. And then I think Heineken came along and said, "There's £40,000, we'll take the bar."
Wow.
And you have that's what we're fighting against.
That's pretty rough, and I think that's why we started making laws about that way back when. It's now sort of changed, and some of those same laws we made to protect that have become difficult for small brewers as well. You're not allowed to pay for anything. You're not allowed to do anything of the nature, but it's tricky because the big guys still have the budget.
Yeah, but then it's down to, us lot down here are more discerning and more appreciative of what we drink to say, actually, fuck that. I don't want to drink Heineken. Education. I actually want to drink, these guys or these guys. Yeah, so actually I'm not going to go to that place. Yeah. I'm going to go down the road where they serve and they spend a little bit more time and a bit more care on what they do and a better experience at the end of the day.
Did Logan just start the Fuck Heineken campaign?
Not really.
No, I didn't do
really.
that. Those were my words, not Logan's.
Actually, he's a big
Those were
fan.
Stefan's words, not mine.
Now, the point, actually, what I want to say is, we should do a street parade in the whole U.S. to make it way more easier to sell good beers in the whole United States with all the distribution. Find one day, everybody has to go on the street and try to change the law to sell beer easier in the whole U.S. I mean, you would get the freshest beer because the distributors wouldn't carry the beer in the stores for so long. So it would be so easy for us. And I think that's the point. What I'm really focused on is because I work with Sheldon Brothers since '97, and it's very, very hard to sell beer in U.S. I mean, I sell more beer in Italy right now than in U.S., and I'm very stoked to have those guys that I can call them as my friends, But hey, guys, make it happen. Go on the street, yell for new laws for U.S. for the beer sessions,
Hey, man, listen to Stefan. Stefan's a dreamer, and I like it.
I believe in it. I believe in it because
That's why people have been tearing your clothes off all day.
Focus on that. It's the same. We're all dreamers, but we really love what we're doing. And
Good.
first time as I met Logan last year here, or I mean, I know Giovanni for quite a long time, and Agostino. And for me, it's like we are all, for some people it looks like we are dreamers, but for me, it's like people came up to my town, yeah, you have it easy because you just get the company from your dad, you know?
Yeah. That's what
I
I was
got
thinking.
the company from my dad for sure with 11,000 hectoliters 2009. Now I make 20,000 hectoliters.
Attaboy.
So I don't want to put my feet under my dad's table. I started my own company as I came back 96 from brewing school. I lived Santa Barbara and I want to sell my beer to my homeboys. And I walked up to my dad, I want to sell my beer in US, and he said, it never will run. 2005, Man's Journal pronounced me out top 50 beers, best brewery in the world. So,
Nice.
so I made it happen, and I'm glad you guys
Stefan.
having me over here.
Is anybody surprised that he spent a lot of time in Santa Barbara?
I
After
love
listening to that?
SB. Yeah.
All right, we have a question from the audience right here. Let's do that.
Hey, thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I'm a big fan of all of your beers. 4 of the 5 of you I've drank in your own country, and Braufaktum I've had here. So hope to next time to Germany visit that. But the one thing that Stefan said when you guys were talking about the Reinheitsgebot as the beer purity law, isn't it true that it's actually a beer tax law? Because prior to 1516, beers were bittered with anything that they could get. There was juniper, there was rosemary, there was bog myrtle, and there were hops. And what happened was, this was right after the Reformation. Martin Luther broke away from the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church had the tax rights, or got the tax revenue on juniper, bog myrtle, rosemary. The Germans got, the Bavarians, sorry, because there was no Germany then.
Not just the Germans.
The Bavarians got the tax rights on hops. So that's why they had to be hops. And then it turned out that hops were a preservative, and the rest is history.
Mark or Stefan, would you like to address, is it a tax law or a purity law?
No, it's a purity law, and we have 2 laws. There's a Bavarian purity law, and there's a German purity law. Bavarian, it's more stricter, but I would say, I mean, you have major companies now, they brew wheat beer, and they get a license to call it still beer, and they can use different ingredients, you know? And I think, I mean, I love to do experiments, and I'm happy to have those guys as my boys to say we do collaboration, and even like here in the States, you have insane beers, you know? But I say it's like, for us, it's like the purity law, it's actually the easiest thing. You never will find on the Oktoberfest the tent they serve IPA, you know? So people needs a drinkability, and
So it's both. There are the two. Okay.
Purity law gives you a good drinkability.
My understanding of the purity law was not a tax thing. It was almost a consumer protection. So the beer couldn't be sold with bullshit ingredients in it, and instead it had to be according to this list of quality ingredients. Is that not right, Mark?
No. The purity law has 2 parts. The one part is that is not allowed to use any things nobody wants to have in the beer. Sweeteners, flavors, whatever. And I know that in a lot of countries, even in the United States, craft brewers already start to use flavors for their beer. Yeah. And this is not craft. And foam enhancers and whatever. And this is not allowed to use for German beer. Okay. And this protects German beer for all these stuff. And this is a really good thing. And the other thing is about pure ingredients. Yeah. And as Stefan said, I do not agree totally with him, because the most brewers thought that dry hopping was not allowed until 3 years ago. We started 2010. And as all of you know, in the purity law, it's just about hops, water, malt, and yeast. Nobody in the purity law 1516 ever said that dry hopping is not allowed. Okay. Yeah, but all German brewers thought that it's not allowed, and nobody did it. And in our opinion, Braufaktum 2010, it's not a question what the Brewers Association or anybody says. The purity law says malt or even barley malt, hops, water, yeast. And we did it. And 2 years later, the Brewers Association announced that it's now allowed. But it's not a question of the Brewers Association, it's a question of what is in the purity law.
Okay.
And if you go to Belgium, all these fruity beers, in my opinion, purity laws means using the purest ingredients. That means real fruit, no sweeteners, no foam enhancers. And a lot of brewers do not use foods. They use whatever, syrup, flavors. It's more a lemonade.
Artificial.
It's artificial flavor. It's more a lemonade blended. And the purity law gives you this, let you know that you have the purest ingredients, but we should allow more pure ingredients instead of just those 4.
Right.
But the purity law is such a good thing we have, and we should bring that to other countries, not just for the 4 ingredients, but for all ingredients are used in craft beer industry.
This is the interpretation that I like. That's what I meant, that it sort of protects consumers about pure ingredients. But again, not to maybe limit it to a certain amount of them, as long as all of them are quality ingredients. All right, we are about running out of time. Do we have another question here? Yeah, absolutely.
Hello, happy to be here. Thanks, everybody. My one big question to you is, how have you, or when do you decide, when you have cultivated yet manifested your best set of cells, your yeast, your culture, to move on? Where's your breaking point? When do you decide that this is it? Or how does your best beer manifest?
Okay, so if I'm understanding the question right, how many generations of yeast can you use before you have to get a new yeast pitch?
Sure.
Is that the question?
Sure, that works well.
You guys got that? Okay, yeah, so let's just go right down the line. Logan, do you guys have a limit?
Yeah, we probably take our house yeast down to about 7 generations before we find she gets a little bit tired, and then we'll go again and start, from afresh.
Agostino?
We have different yeast strains. We change the main lager yeast every 4 months. It means 16, 15, 16 cycles, generations. But there's another one I'm using for other beers. It's still a lager yeast. I'm using it for 1 or 2 years, 60 or 70 or 80 generations. Wow. So it's strong yeast dependent. I mean, it depends from the yeast.
Each one.
Do
Mark?
you see any...
Yeah, when you
You
take it
follow
from...
up?
I'm sorry, I'm a question asker. Do you see any phenotypical changes, like the actual strain looks different or something's directing you in a certain pathway?
In the yeast that we change every 1 or 2 years, we are checking the fermentation figures.
Yeah.
Okay. And the taste of the beer. And after 60, sometimes 50, 70 generations, it changes a little bit. It gets slower. Sluggish fermentation.
Yeah, the attenuation is less, is a little sluggish.
And the taste is, and the flavor is getting different, and then we decide to change it.
Mark,
You
how
have
about
to
you guys?
check it.
From the scientific view, you have a change from the first to the second use of the yeast. But if you do not have any microbiological problems, there cannot be any change of the yeast. So you, as Agostino said, you can use the yeast as long as you want. If you work very pure and you do not have any microbiological problems, it doesn't make any sense, or do not have any difference between any second, third, or fourth use of the yeast, as long as you want to, if you do not have any micros in that.
Anything different, Giovanni?
Sorry?
For Giovanni too?
So it really depends on the yeast strain. Some yeast strain is suitable to be recycled many times, others are not. But we decide to refresh the culture after sometimes 5-8 cycles, no more than 10, because we want to be sure of the purity of the culture.
Okay.
I would say also it's like for Pils beer, we use it like 5 cycles because after a while the yeast takes over the hops. So, and your beers can get like, I mean, you know, they get more dirty and like after a while, you know.
Yeah.
It's not mean, it doesn't mean like it's bad for the beer, but it means like it gets like too much hops washed into the yeast. You have dead yeast and stuff. That's in Germany. A lot of breweries, like my neighbor brewery, he uses for every batch a brand new yeast.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Every
so
time?
They have what is that called in? They grow yeast.
Okay,
you know,
they
so
propagate their own,
so
every time.
propagate it.
Yeah, okay. All right, one more. We got to go.
Thank you very much for coming here. We're really excited and honored
Thank you,
that
sir.
you made the whole trip over to the West Coast to share your beers with us. It's a wonderful thing, and thank you. It's a real honor.
Agreed. Thank you.
We love you guys too. You know, it's a big honor for us.
Let me ask you a question. When you ship your beer this far, when you're trying to distribute to the United States or to other countries, how do you monitor the quality of your beer when it lands to be sold in, you know, this far away? Because, you know, I've noticed that when I've traveled in Europe, the beer that I taste from a brewery there does taste different than the same brewery's beer by the time we get it here on the West Coast.
Can I tell you something?
Damn you with
know
your
why?
great question here at the end. I could have done this for 30 minutes, Steve. That's a really good question.
You know why? I brought beer over in the plane, and it was 12 hours old. But you know, your country smells different than my country. I love to come out and smell California because California has a different smell in my nose. Go on a mountain in somewhere, Alaska, whatever. You climb up the highest mountain, you get the cleanest air. So nothing bothers your flavor feelings. So that's why beer change.
You're saying beer
different.
tastes better in America, I think is what you're saying.
No. The point is,
That's what.
Let's move to Alaska all together.
Yes,
No, it's-
Giovanni.
I can tell. Concerning me, Agostino and Logan, we have the same importer. And our importer has a program who's called Tank Container. He get the beer, bulk beer from our brewery, and he transport the beer in a refrigerated tank container, and then he keg the beer in Connecticut. So the quality of our beer is of the highest level of the bulk beer. Concerning the sour beers, I'm not very concerned about it because.
Yeah, so basically it leaves our fermenters at like -1, 0 degrees, into their tanker at -1, 0 degrees, out to his fermenter 3 weeks later, -1, 0 degrees, and then packaged into keg. So theoretically, you're getting super fresh.
The freshest you can get. I mean, fresher than it happens many times in Italy.
Oh, right.
Really.
Beautiful.
Even because our imported, he pre-sell the beers, so he keg it and delivered.
Yeah.
and I say a clean beer never gets bad. I had one of my beers here in the States. It was 2.5 years old. It was still good in condition.
It's still good.
I drafted a beer today. It was 9 months old. And everybody thought, wow, it's cool, you know? When beer aged, it's kind of wine. It has to be clean.
If it's clean.
When
yeah.
beer is clean, you can keep it how long as you want. I mean, it has to be over.
Go ahead. No? No, we have a dissenting
That's my
opinion.
experience.
We have dissenting
I'm
opinions
sorry,
on the
sorry,
panel.
man, I disagree.
Augustino
Totally
disagrees.
disagree.
We know
I'm totally
we are not
disagree.
dreaming. Agostino.
When a beer is,
Agostino.
when we're talking about hoppy beers, the hop is getting down and down.
A
No
sterilizer,
chance.
though.
You can minimize the oxidation, but oxidation takes place. So hoppy beers has to be consumed fresh and young. No chance.
Or you bring it in a can.
Otherwise,
Or you bring it in a can. In a can. Just bring the beer in a can. Eric Toft, he is one of the hops popes in Germany, you know.
I know
And
Eric is a
he
great
was
friend
like,
of
he
mine.
told me we did experience with bottled conditioned beer, dry hop beers in a bottle. And he said after a while we lose the flavor. But in a can, stays the flavor.
in the can.
Let's go for can.
All right. Everybody loves beer
No,
in cans.
sorry.
We're going to leave it at that. We are out of time for today's panel. I do want to thank you guys so much for being here and bringing us beer. And thank you to all of you.
Thank you, guys.
Come talk to these guys afterward. They're very nice and handsome, and they'll drink beer with you. So thanks, everybody. I'm from the Brewing Network, and we're just happy to be here once again. We'll see you next year. Go enjoy yourselves, and please be safe. Drink some water.